Yep.
All right. Episode 37 underway.
Underway.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Desert Farmer Podcast, episode 37. It is October, and it is beautiful outside, right? But before we give you guys the weather forecast, let's get to a couple of housekeeping notes for today. Housekeeping note number one, Lori will be down in the chat with you guys, keeping an eye on everything, saying howdy, so she will see you down there. Just click right back over to there. There you go. So she will be saying howdy to y'all and interacting with you guys. Housekeeping note number two would be what? Questions.
If you have a question, before you write your question, just write question in front of it, preferably in caps so it stands out. That way I make sure I see those questions and don't miss it thinking that it's just a comment.
Mm-hmm. And housekeeping note number three, make sure and give us a thumbs up and a heart if you like what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. So we've got several things we want to cover with you guys today. Really excited about that. We're going to get to our first agenda item. You're hitting your right click. That's what's happening. So we're going to get to our first agenda item here with you guys and kind of jump right into it because we've got a lot of things to cover with you guys. We're going to be sharing with you up on the screen. So a little more interactive again today so we can show you what's going on. So if we want to bounce over to the agenda, let's see what we got going. What is our highlight?
Our highlight of the week is...
I don't remember what it was.
We got rain.
Oh, that's right. Okay, back to the weather report. So we have gone, I think we went about 3 months with absolutely no rain. And we finally turned the corner this week with the temperatures. That was because of a cold front that came through. And yesterday, we got our first raindrops that we've seen in several months. Mm-hmm. And we went from record temps and consistently over our average to well below the average temp yesterday. And then this morning, before we went outside, we had to adjust our normal chores because we had rain again.
Yes.
Right?
So nice.
So, and nice and chilly. So I think the only reason we didn't get down into the 40s this morning is because of that rain. But tomorrow morning, we're supposed to tap 40 degrees. Into the 40s here in Whitman. So we are just a few degrees away from chill hours here in the middle of October.
That's crazy.
That's pretty good. We'll take it. We will take it. So, all right, what else we got? I know we have the highlight of the week, and we were going to do an item, but we skipped the item of the week, so didn't get to that today. But what is it?
We have the topic question.
Wow, we're already there. We're like buzzing through this already.
Well, we kind of skipped a little bit here.
So obviously the big thing we wanted to make sure that we got with you guys today is we want to talk about our favorite nurseries. Now, we have this broken out into two categories, and I should caveat, this is fruiting trees, vines, shrubs. Okay, that's what we're focusing on today. A couple of them are going to have a honorable mention for plant starts other than that. But we are going to talk about that, and we are going to break it down to local nurseries here in Arizona. We're going to start with that. So we got a handful of nurseries that we have experience with here in Arizona, and then we're going to give you guys some online nurseries that we've had really good luck with. So we're going to do both of those for you. We're going to show you either the websites or in one instance, the Facebook page, because there isn't a website, of our favorite nurseries. So, and of course, as you guys have notes or questions, go ahead and put those down. We'll keep an eye on that. But I do want to go ahead and jump right in. So you guys know that our favorite nursery, we're going to start with that, would be RSI Growers. So Lori, we want to get that up on camera so you remember where you're headed.
Yep.
There we go. So you guys know this is our favorite. You might be able to scroll just a little bit if they want to see it, but that's obviously just... There we go. That's what I wanted to see. So you can see his different assortment of trees. He does fruit trees. That is his thing. He's got a handful of vines. He does grapes occasionally, but for the most part, it's fruit trees. He does predominantly stone fruit and pome fruit. He does a couple of nuts, like, for example, almond. But in this case, the fruit trees are the key for Reed. All of his trees are potted, so no bare root. He does not ship. So unless you're here in Arizona or you want to make the trip, this is going to be a local nursery for us here only. And it is a fantastic one. You guys know that the majority of our trees here on the farm, if it's a stone fruit or a pome fruit, it comes from RSI Growers. We've been using him since the old farm, actually since our house in the city, I believe, is when we actually started buying from him. But it's been a long time, and his trees simply perform better in our experience than any of the other trees that we get. So we always start with this one, and if you're here locally in Arizona, it is our go-to. He is at is it 59th and Bell, right around that. Well, it's not actually Bell, so it's just north of Bell Road on 59th Avenue, right? And that is his website. So, and then number 2. So obviously that's our primary here locally. Our second favorite nursery locally is one that you guys will be very familiar with if you're here in Arizona, and that is Summer Winds Nursery. You missed it. There you go. So that is Summer Winds Nursery. That, again, if Lori scrolls just a little bit, there is a whole lot going on at this nursery. So they've got multiple locations here in the valley. So kind of no matter where you're at in the Phoenix area, you probably have one that's not too far away from you. It's a full nursery. So they have your different supplements. They have fertilizers. They have plants. They have fruiting and non-fruiting, and they do have a fairly good assortment of fruit trees. I will say, this particular nursery is where we would go to buy citrus. In fact, that's where we've gone. In fact, we had our very first kumquat we've got from Summer Winds Nursery. We have purchased at least one other citrus tree from them, and I believe at least one fig tree between the two farms that we've purchased from Summer Winds. We also get our bay leaf. So we've gotten a couple of bay leaf trees from them, and the bay leaves have done well. Well, one did well, and one we killed, but we've got a third one from them that's doing well now, right? But a full service nursery. We also get plant starts.
Yeah, I do a lot of plant starts from them.
Right. In fact, we were just there this week. What did you get this week?
I got a chocolate mint, and I got 2 artichoke.
Yep. So we had our artichokes that are kind of perennial, usually perennial. This summer just killed them back completely, so we didn't have our artichokes come back. So we wound up getting a couple starts from them because it's too late to seed them. So we got that. And then that chocolate mint, that'll be interesting. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So again, local nursery here to us in Phoenix. So nursery number 3, this one is really for you North Phoenix or Phoenix folks. This one is Richard's Garden Center. They call it Garden City. They're up off of, what would you say, Jomax and I-17, right? It's kind of hard to get to them because they're off of the frontage road. If you guys know how that works on I-17, so you have to pass them heading north and come back. It's kind of a little bit of a pain, but we've gotten a few different trees from these guys here. We've got a couple of fig trees from them. We had a couple of kumquat trees from them. Biggest thing is what a few years ago?
We got our 4 loquats up front from them. And we got the most recent pecan tree was from them also.
Oh, you're
potted
right.
one.
And actually, that one's doing the best.
Yeah.
So the best performing pecan tree that we have so far. And one of the reasons we wanted to go with that is because it was potted, right? So we had an idea that would probably help. So, but a great option for us in Phoenix and North Phoenix. So we've got that, again, it's kind of a full service nursery. They have a lot of different trees there. So if you're looking for desert adapted trees or something like that, another great option for you here locally. So what's the next one?
So we have Whitfill Nursery.
Okay, so you guys, this one's been around for a long time. So if you guys have been in the Phoenix area for any period of time, you've probably gone in there. They're having some issues with their website. So, but either way, a full service nursery. They carry a lot of different things there, including fruit trees. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we got a citrus tree from them, only one. But they're centrally located in Phoenix, and they've got a couple different locations, I believe, here in the valley. But one that we have a little bit of experience with, and a lot of folks here have had success with them. So I believe we have one more. This one's on the west side. So this nursery is down off of I-10, basically like Litchfield Park kind of area. But this is Elgin Nursery. This one, the only thing that we purchased from them is, I believe, a couple of citrus trees. We got a Meyer lemon from them, and we got I believe, a Bear's lime from them. So this nursery, like Summer Winds Nursery and also Richard's Garden Center, they use the Sunset Nursery. Is it Sunrise Nursery? Sunset Nursery. Sunset Nursery. They use the Sunset Nursery citrus trees. So that is a Yuma-based commercial orchard, and they have rootstocks that they grow in Yuma, and we've had very, very good success with those. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think we've lost any of the trees that we've purchased that have been grown out by them. So another great option. Reed would be good for that as well, but he's hit or miss with all of his stock. Sometimes he does sell out pretty often, and he, I know, was struggling to get citrus inventory up. So we had to go with a combination of Summer Winds, Richard's Garden Center, and Elgin Nursery for us here for all of our citrus trees on this farm. I think we got the Daisy Mandarin from Reed. We have the variegated Cara Cara from Reed, and that might be, the Sanguinelli, right? The blood orange from him. Either way.
Doesn't matter.
So we have a few from him, but the rest of them came from these other local nurseries. So we've got one more local nursery now. This one's a little bit different. This one is a small shop that is downtown Phoenix. They do not have a website, so we're going to show you guys their Facebook page, but this is a tropical concept plant nursery. Now, you guys know that we don't generally do tropical trees here. So the only thing that we've purchased from them is what? Twice.
It's where we've gotten our Yehuda loquats. So we got it 8 or 9 years ago at the first property, and then I just got another one here the last couple weeks.
Right. So that has been our go-to for that specific tree. They have one other loquat, right? But in addition to that, but what else do they have? You were there, so you know better than I do.
I mean, a ton of mangoes. I mean, if you're wanting mangoes, they have dozens and dozens and dozens of varieties of mangoes. They've got bananas. They've got passion fruit. They've got... and they do have some of the other stuff. Like I saw nectarine. I saw a 3-in-1 apple. I saw figs. Yeah.
So a great option for tropical trees. Now there's one that we didn't pull up here, but I have to make sure that I talk to you guys about, and that is the Urban Farm Fruit Tree Program. So that one, it's changed just a little bit, but we've bought a lot of trees from there. So that's another great option. They have a website, so you can head over to the website, but it is local to us here in Arizona, and it's been around for many, many years. So another good one. That one, by the way, is all Dave Wilson trees. And one other note, when you're looking at stone fruit and pome fruit, and you're not going to read at RSI Growers, you're looking at Dave Wilson trees, period. So no matter who else, doesn't matter where else you go here in Arizona, if you're looking for an apple tree or a peach tree or something like that, and you're not at RSI Growers, you're going to wind up with a Dave Wilson tree. Again, not bad, but not ideal for stone and pome fruit in our experience. So, but another great option. So, and of course, that's Greg Peterson, if you guys don't already know that, for the Urban Farm Fruit Tree Program. And we actually got some unique trees from him on the old farm. I think we had, 12 or 13 trees that we planted in a single day from him. And again, rootstocks were not ideal. We had a couple trees struggle. His are all bare root, with a couple of exceptions. But you would have to order from him right now for delivery this winter. I believe it starts in January or February. So, but those are all the local. So that's all of your local nurseries that we have had experience with and had good luck with and have specifically purchased trees or vines from.
Yeah, and obviously there is a ton more out there. You guys probably know of a lot more. It's just those are the ones that we have actually gone to.
Right, and we're obviously here in north of Phoenix, so you'll notice all this stuff is central, north, and west because that's where we've always lived. We've lived in North Phoenix, and then we've been here out in Whitman. So it's always been on the west side and the north side of town. So there are a few other options. All right, so that wraps up our local stuff. So now we're getting into the online websites. Now, online websites, right now is peak season for ordering from online websites. And a lot of that is because your bare root trees, you order them now, and they will ship in basically mid to late winter for us. Generally speaking, these websites do a very good job of identifying the fact that we're in zone 9. We break dormancy very early. And so generally speaking, they've all been very good with shipping well within that window of breaking dormancy. I think we've had 1 or 2 exceptions, And the only time that happened is because we went late to order a tree and it shipped late. So otherwise they do a good job. They do know and understand that we're here in Arizona. You have to ship those early. So again, these websites right now is peak season. So if you're looking for something that these other nurseries here locally don't have, and you're wanting a bare root tree, which we've done multiple times, these websites are a great option. We have ordered from every single one of these with success. There was one nursery we didn't pull up that we didn't have as much success with, and I don't even remember the name of it, to be honest with you. I'd have to look at it again, but these we've all had success with. So
yeah, and again, there's a ton of nurseries online. These are just ones. I know I've gotten a couple people in here recommending other nurseries as well.
Awesome.
So, make sure you guys look at those in the comments down there. We just haven't been to any of those. I know Pam had mentioned Arizona Fruit Trees, and that's Jay, isn't it?
I think so.
We've just never been to his property, so.
No, probably should reach out to him, say hi.
Yeah.
Seems like a good guy. Okay, so on to online nurseries. So we have these not really broken out into any category. I won't say that we favor one or the other, but the first one that we're going to show you would probably be our go-to, right? So we start here if we're looking for something. I just like the way the website is designed, and we've been using it since the old farm. So we've been using this website for really the last 10 years, off and on. And again, if we can't find it locally, we go to this one, and it's Stark Brothers. So these guys have been around a long, long time. Yeah, Lori's going to kind of go through here just a little bit. One of the nice parts about this website is you have the ability to search this by your growing zone. So you can enter your zip code, and it will put a check mark next to things that will fit your zone. In fact, if you look at this, it's got we entered our zip code. Scroll down just a little bit. You'll see there's check marks in the bottom left-hand corner of those pictures right there. So that means that those are within our growing zone. Okay, so within zone 9, they're identifying those as plants that we could probably grow. Now, a caveat to that. Just because it shows that it can grow in zone 9 doesn't mean it actually will do well here in the desert. Because zone 9 is also San Francisco. And that's drastically different from what we are here in Arizona. So it's because of cold temperatures, not humidity. That's what that zoning is looking for. So it's saying your lowest temperature is this, and that's that 25 range for 9B. Well, there's the same zone in San Francisco, but it's drastically different. Much higher humidity, not nearly as hot in the summertime. You guys already know. I don't need to describe to you the difference between San Francisco and Phoenix. But there's areas of San Francisco in the suburbs that it's zone 9B. So, but you can grow things there that you can't grow here. So keep that as a caveat. So, but Stark Brothers, we've ordered several things from them, right? We've ordered mulberry from them. We've ordered blackberries from them. We ordered a nectarine tree on the old farm from them that did well. And I believe we might have ordered some grapevines from them, but I'm not positive. So several different types of things that we've ordered from that nursery. And again, it's my go-to. I go back to that one. I like it because it's just user-friendly when you're trying to get some detail on certain plants and whether they'll do well here. So that other online nurseries don't always do. So what is the next step?
Next one we have is groworganic.com.
So this one we found a couple of years ago. So when we were ordering trees for this farm here, we have found several things that Reed was not going to be able to grow out for us. You can see as Lori kind of scrolls down, they've got all kinds of stuff: garlic, figs, berries, a lot of different types of trees and plants that they provide. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they've got organic options if you're really a stickler on an organic tree to start. And as she scrolls down, you'll see lots of different types of crops. So a full service online nursery. We've ordered a few different things from them. I believe the thing that I remember most was we had some grapevines that we got from them that did well. And then we also purchased, I believe, a Jujube or two, if I'm not mistaken, from them. So that's a good Jujube source. If you guys are looking for Jujube trees, I didn't look at it this year to see if they've got them because Jujubes are hit or miss. But any one of these nurseries might have one. I don't think Stark Brothers had Jujubes, but I believe Grow Organic does. And so there's another one that we're going to be showing you that usually has some options as far as Jujube as well. So, but another good online nursery. Next up, if you guys have been shopping online at all, you'll recognize this one here. This is Raintree Nursery. They're in the Pacific Northwest. They do have some very, very unique varieties of plants. And so if you're looking for something unique, this may be a good option for you. In fact, I'm looking at that. They've got an olive there.
Some olives.
Ooh.
They got 2 olives on
Hey,
here.
wait a minute. Hold on. Maybe we need to go back to Raintree for something. So, but as she scrolls down, you'll see they've got a really good interactive website here. They carry a lot of unique types of fruit. So if you guys are adventurous and you want to try something a little bit different, you might find it here at Raintree. There were some berries that we haven't tried yet, but I can't remember. I want to say we got the Colombian Giant from this website. I think we did. So we've gotten, I think, a couple different berries from them. And I don't remember whether we got our Hardy Kiwi that failed miserably. I wouldn't suggest Hardy Kiwi for us here, but I believe it was that website that we were on. So, but at Raintree Nursery, another great option. So what do we have next?
We have Planting Justice.
Oh, that's right. So Planting Justice. This one, guys, this one is a very, very cool little nursery. And we bought a few things from them, and we've had good success with them. I believe we bought a fig from them. I know that we bought Jujubes from them. In fact, I think the Empress G and the Aunt Admire were both from this nursery, if I'm not mistaken. But they've got a lot of options. You can see Lori as she kind of scrolls through here. A lot of different options as far as plants and trees. So, and they've got a cool little website and a neat story. So even if you guys don't necessarily plan on buying from Planting Justice, go read their story. I think it's really cool what they're doing. And they're trying to increase employment in specific areas. And just, it's a really cool little nursery, and we've had good success with their trees. So a good little nursery to support. So up next, this one is very specific because we've only ordered one thing from this website. Technically, I guess it's 2, but this is actually where we got our pistachios, right? So the Golden Hills pistachio and the Randy, which is the pollinator for that one. The trees have done fantastic. So again, came in, I believe it was year before last is when we planted those because they're going on 2 years old. And got them in the wintertime, planted them, came out of dormancy just fine, and they're growing well. So looking forward to those. Going to be a while before we actually get a harvest, but the trees themselves look fantastic when we got them. And they came out of dormancy, lickety split, and look really good. So another great option. And then we have one more here for you. And this is Bob Wells Nursery. This one, he's got several different things in here. But specifically out of this was pecan trees for us. So when we got our first pecan trees, that actually took. This is the website that we got them out of. They are bare root. So in our experience now, a potted pecan tree is a better option. We've had and it's not to any fault, I don't think, of these websites, but pecan trees are tough if it comes in as a bare root. And I really think it's because it's hard for that taproot to penetrate well for us because it has to do it almost immediately. So nurseries, I need a drink. So
You've been talking a lot or
I
something?
have. I can't help it. So that is our list of nurseries. So we've got lots of options for you guys in here. Again, every single one of these nurseries we have purchased from and had success with. So these are a tried and true websites. Now, a caveat to that. We talk a little bit about mulberry trees and some of your other varieties where you're buying a variety and you think you're getting one thing, but you wind up getting another. So with things like mulberries and whatnot, I will tell you, I don't recall which ones, but we've had the wrong variety come in. And mulberry specific, and I want to say it might have been Stark Brothers. I think we might have ordered a black Pakistan from them, and it definitely was not. In fact, I think the black Pakistan on the old farm was from them. But again, we talked about that. That's I don't consider that any fault of the nursery because they buy it from somebody else, and it's one of the reasons why, of course, we're doing that here. So we know we have a known variety with the black Pakistan and the Shangri-La, and so that's one of the reasons that we're propagating those here, hopefully to have for so far it looks like we will have for folks in the spring. So to add, I guess one last nursery would be us. So
We'll see.
we'll see. So far, we got everything. We only lost one over the summertime, right? So
It got knocked over, so that wasn't.
It wasn't us. No, I don't know what knocked that over either. Probably one of the cats or something.
Probably.
But,
they like to climb in there.
Yeah, so it shook the roots, and the roots are just too gentle still. So
yeah.
All right, so I'm sure we have questions. Let's go ahead and get to your guys' questions.
We do. So Kevin, what are you planting this fall? You had a cherry that failed and those feet fruit up front. Did you settle on a Yehuda and anything else?
All right, who is that? Is that Kevin?
Kevin.
Oh, yeah, Kevin. Okay, I'm going to let you answer that as far as the front is concerned. Because what?
Okay, so well, jumping to looks like a couple questions down, but we did get a Yehuda. So we got that from a Tropical Concept. We actually put that in where we had the blackberry up front. So we tore the blackberry out, put the Yehuda there.
And Kevin may be the only person that knows that blackberry was even up there. Because he's been here. Or unless you've been here.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we ever talked about that. I'm not sure we talked about that. It was a transplanted pup.
Yeah. Other trees that we've gotten, we did get 2 more fig trees because we need to replace one that we bought last year, bare root. That
the raspberry latte never came out of dormancy.
Never came out of dormancy. And then we moved the potted apple tree out of the garden area because
it died.
And we're going to put another fig in there. And that so far is the only actual trees that I've bought so far.
Right. So we have probably 2 olive trees. So we haven't purchased those yet. We may wait till spring on that one because we have a kind of a couple different moves we're going to do at the front of the property. Well, really what it narrows down to, the bay leaf is going to come out and it's going to wind up going into the garden area. I think it'll do better there. We both do. So we're going to have to transplant that and hope it survives the transplant. If not, we'll snag another one at summer winds probably.
Yeah.
But we need to create that space for one of them. And then we could plant another olive now, but I think we may wait till spring.
Yeah, up in the area where the feet fruit.
Where the feet fruit were.
Came out of, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to replace the feet fruit with olives. We figure we already know how olives are going to do. So as long as we can get them to survive and thrive, we shouldn't have a problem. That's ideal we have our ideal weather for olives here. So, and we more on the keto side, low carb side. And so, healthy fats, we're always looking for a good healthy fat. And that is a plant-based one. So having that here on the farm. And that was your guys' suggestion, honestly. We weren't considering olives. You guys suggested olives, and I'm like, oh, that's a fantastic idea, and it's an evergreen. And so, and they'll unless it's torn out or we do something, they'll last much longer than we do.
Yeah.
So for protection.
And then as far as the cherry, we did have 2 cherry that we tried on the old property and didn't ever.
We failed twice on that one on the old property.
Grow well.
Yep.
And then we got another cherry here on this property that was supposed to be a lower chill. Got it bare root, but when we got it, it already had started budding out a little bit, and then we planted it, and then it never did anything. So we tore that out and put something else in.
Yep. Well, I think the pistachio wound up replacing that. So, but either way, yeah, we're not going to try it. We're not going to attempt cherries anymore. So the biggest issue with cherries is the rootstock. So those rootstocks are definitely not designed for us here. We were able to get them to take on the old farm, then one finally died, and then one basically never grew. I mean, really never grew at all. It grew a few inches in a year. And really struggled because it didn't put on a lot of leaf growth. We were having to basically paint the entire tree because there wasn't enough leaf material on there. So we're not gonna attempt that again. So, yeah.
All right, my baby moringa has lost almost all its leaves. Is that normal for this time of year, or am I killing it in the cradle?
Yeah, no, completely normal. So now, are you killing it? I don't know for a fact, but ours are losing some leaves too. So it got some yellowing on the leaves. As soon as it dips down below 100 degrees, but once it's below 90, those trees are really not that happy. And we're down. I guarantee you, our trees, by the time we walk out to them on Monday, they'll probably lose half their leaves because we're down into the 50s. Those trees do not like the cold at all.
Yeah.
So once you get down below 70, they are not happy. They're like jujubes. The jujubes will have a bunch of yellow leaves on them too. Same thing with your moringa. I will tell you, you're probably close enough at this point. Hack them down to where you're going to cut them down for winter because you need to cut them back for winter. Go ahead and harvest whatever green material you have left. And then you can wait to cover them to see if you get a little bit of sprouting. But we'll need to cover those trees here in another month. So we'll be doing the exact same thing. We'll be lopping those back down below our 3-foot cages and then covering those with burlap. So that's coming up for us in just a few weeks. We're usually doing that around Thanksgiving. Before we get our first frost, we go ahead and we do that. So, and then take a final harvest. So yeah, pretty normal. Pretty normal. So what else?
What are Talk's top 5 citrus fruits?
Okay, so I'm assuming we're talking about
What are our top 5 citrus fruits? Maybe?
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to start out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with the type of fruit of citrus, as opposed to the specific variety. And this is again my opinion as far as what we use them for the most. So I would say lime, because lime we use a lot for cooking. So it's very versatile for us. Second thing would be lemon. Same thing, we use that for cocktails. Same thing with limes. We use that for cocktails. We use it for cooking. So it's another great one. And both of those have a very, very long harvest season. So you can start harvesting those usually late summer, sometimes earlier than that for limes, but late summer all the way in through beginning of the following year. So middle of winter. You can usually stretch them out that far as long as you don't get a frost that's too hard. And then third thing would be you choose the mandarin. So I really like mandarins. They're very sweet with some tart. A wonderful type of citrus. I would go with that. Oranges. So any of your orange varieties would be good. There's several different orange varieties that are great options. And then last but not least, for me, would be grapefruit. And the grapefruit we do mainly for, well, you eat the grapefruit, right?
Juice it.
Right, but you haven't ever eaten it. It's
I
always
don't
been
really
juiced.
eat it. I usually juice it and drink the juice.
Okay, so you can see why that's kind of last on our list, but it's still a fantastic fruit. The pigs still love it. So yeah, either way. So and then obviously within there you've got a lot of different options, but that's kind of how I would probably rank those. And then within those, there's obviously different varieties. I don't know that too many of those matter too much. Like any of the mandarins are fine.
Yeah, they're all good.
I think any of the oranges are probably fine. So, get an Arizona sweet if you're going to have to pick one, would probably be your best bet. Cara is fantastic, but those can struggle a little bit, especially if it gets too cold. But as far as, again, mandarins, any of them. When it comes to limes, be careful with limes because the Bear's lime that we've always done well with, we've come to find out that the vast majority of those have a disease that you can't do anything about and it will kill the tree. We lost one here because of that. And so we've gone to the Mexican lime or the key lime now for that. And then with the lemon, the Meyer lemon. So you've got a Eureka lemon, which are nice, big, beautiful trees and big, big lemons. But in our experience, it's just a better quality lemon with the Meyer if you're going to use it. A little milder. It's a little bit smaller. The rind is a little bit thinner. Mm-hmm. So it's really a cooking lemon. It's known for that, but just a beautiful, really, really wonderful lemon. So,
what about your fall apples and fall pears and quince?
Yes. So the quince is probably going to get destroyed by birds. Do you think that is it done for at this point?
I didn't even look at it this week, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so I don't know that we're going to get a quince. The Waddell pears are still holding on. Mm-hmm. So I know we had somebody mention they were at Reed's, and he said December for those. So we're going to try one in November. So we're going to give it a couple more weeks, try to pull one off the tree and let it blet on the counter for a couple weeks and try it in mid-November. So we're going to do that probably around our, if we can get them off the tree in time, maybe the chicken processing workshop or a little bit later. And then, and hopefully that's good. No fruit on any of the apples. So the Jersey Mac put fruit on it, lost them all to birds and the sun. And the Gala put a handful on there, same thing. Lost them to birds and the sun. So kind of the normal procedure with the fall apples. I will tell you, we've had folks, ask us about those all the time. I think that's going to be a real tough row to hoe because we have yet to get a ripe fruit off there. I'm still hopeful that as the trees get bigger, we'll get better quality fruit and maybe get enough on the trees that'll survive. So we'll see. We're still holding out hope. So, yeah. Is that Pam again? Pam, you are such a sweetheart. Thank you for that super chat. You are the best. Every week. She is so consistent.
I know.
Oh, and then Pam,
come on, guys.
Pam, we got chicken coming. So I know you're a fan of the chicken. So yeah, coming soon. What else we got?
How many millimeters, inches of rain did you get now?
I don't know what we've had year to date. So we had a really good spring. I think we got 7 or 8 inches in the spring, which is almost our whole year allotment, which is a good thing we did because we got I think we got about an inch the entire summer. And that was basically over a back-to-back period of rainfall that happened in June. So we got sprinkled on a little bit once or twice in July, nothing in August, nothing in September, and nothing until yesterday in October. So well below 9 inches, I believe, at this point. We'll be lucky if we get our average rainfall. Ours is about 9 inches of rainfall here in Whitman, and unless something drastic happens between now and the end of the year, I don't know that we'll hit it. We got sprinkled on yesterday. So there was some heavier rain. I drove through it in North Phoenix, like surprise area. It rained much heavier there than it did here.
Yeah.
So
it didn't rain heavy at all here.
No, and it just sprinkled this morning. So not enough to saturate the ground underneath the pigs. So yeah.
All right, and we have Masood, which...
Hey, Masood, how are you? From Turkey.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not translated on
Hey,
here.
Masood, how are you?
Who sells Jujube? And this might have been a question before we were going through of the nurseries. But...
So groworganic.com, we've gotten Jujubes from them in the past. And Planting Justice, we've gotten Jujubes from them in the past as well. And usually there's a few others that have them, but now's the time of year to buy those. So if you're going to get a Jujube, you need to order it right now. You need to find it at one of those online nurseries and get it ordered, because they will usually, in our experience, they sell out. And that's all bare root. Those all come in January and February. So you need to order them lickety split.
What is the maximum number of customers, please? They can register for visiting you in fall and in spring. So
we have not had to cut that off yet. So we could easily fit a couple hundred people here, and we haven't hit that. We usually are between 100 and 150 that usually sign up for our tours, and we could easily fit a couple hundred. The biggest thing is parking, and we've got a lot of it around the farm. In front of the farm, we've got a parking area in front of the outbuilding, and then Nate and Tara have some parking in front of their property. So we've got, the biggest thing is parking. And so, but we could probably fit a couple hundred people, and then we'd have to cut it off.
Yeah.
We just have not hit that yet. And we're looking at, families. So, there's 100 to 150 people, but, that's not 150 cars. There's probably 40 or 50 cars here, right?
Yeah.
So, but parking can, the advantage is we're in the desert, so we've got space. It's not like being in the city where that would be a bigger problem. But parking would be our challenge, I think, more than anything. And then we do a tour, and so it's a guided, but not everybody has to stay with it. So we do a guided tour, and then having that many people crammed into one space as we're walking through the farm could be a challenge if we get more than a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What is the drink of the day? So this is Michael, and he had black currant.
Ooh.
I'm not sure what that is. 51% volume alcohol.
Oh yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Cheers.
Cheers to that. So what is this?
This is actually a blend of our wine grapes. So
from
it's
last year.
Mix of Syrah, Cabernet, and Zinfandel. We had a little bit left over of each one, so we just combined it all together to make a bottle.
Yep. And I've had better.
Yeah, it's not the greatest.
So we had a couple, I think it was the Syrah last year, really struggled. And so I was hopeful that mixing it with these would make a difference. Plus we wanted to see what it tastes like. I guess it's not bad. There's just a fair amount of sediment in there. So
the rootstocks for cherry, you can hack with grafting it on Z-stem plum and Z-stem on your Hansen rootstock.
Yeah, if we could get Reed to do that, I just wouldn't want to we'd have to buy a bare root tree and then have him graft it. So, that's a lot of steps. So, could you do that? Sure. I'm sure you can. I'm sure it can be done. Maybe we ought to talk to him someday about doing that, just to give it a shot. I'd still like to try that one that's self-fruitful. Was the Stark Crimson, or was it Stark Crimson?
Crimson something that we bought that didn't.
Yeah, it's a newer variety. But, the challenge with that is Dave Wilson's got, they've got patents on some of those things. So, I know you've got to be really careful with some of that stuff. And nurseries can't they'd have to buy the patent in order to actually sell them as that, which I know Reed won't do. So, that's a big part of the problem. And, we don't graft things here. Well, we don't have any intention of doing that either. But it's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get a good rootstock. What else?
Rabbits chewed the bark on one side of my loquat. How should I cover the bark? Cover the bark paint?
Yeah, so what I would do is get some hardware cloth and do hardware cloth around the base of that tree.
So an actual cage around it so they can't get to it.
Yep, and you don't need it. So do like I don't know how tall the trunk is, but you might have to lose some of the bottom branches depending on how tall the trunk is. And then take do the 1/2 inch square. Don't do the 1/4 inch square hardware cloth. Do the 1/2 inch square hardware cloth because they're stronger. But do those. I think it's a 19 gauge. They sell them at Home Depot. Get either a 2 foot or a 3 foot tall. If you're dealing with jackrabbits, you'll need a 3 foot tall. If you're just dealing with your cottontails, a 2 foot tall hardware cloth is fine. Cut those into a length and then just make them into a cylinder that goes around your trunk, and that will protect your trunk, and that'll keep them away from the trunk. That's what you guys, if you see us doing plantings, like tomorrow's video is going to be planting that Yehuda loquat, you guys will see us installing a cage specifically to keep rabbits away from those young trees. We always do that. And then I will tell you, we always still paint our trunks with the Ivy Organics, and that has done well with keeping the rabbits away, right? So we haven't had rabbit damage after using that. And part of that is because of all of the essential oils that are in there. They do not like that stuff.
Yeah. So
with that and the diatomaceous earth that's in there, so that's another option. Might even be worth doubling up if you got things munching on that. So, all right, what else we got? Good, great questions today.
I know. Do you cover fig trees if you have them during the winter?
No. So we're not cold enough. We're not near cold enough here to have an issue with any of the fig trees, so we don't cover them at all. So I know most of those are good down to about zone 7, give or take. That can maybe flex a little bit depending on how hard and long your frosts are. But if you're zone 8, 9 or above, it's totally unnecessary. They need chill hours. So, they actually need some chill. They just can't handle 0 degrees. That's too cold for them. That'll kill fig trees. So, they're subtropical trees, and they do best in like pretty much zone 8, 9, and 10. That's kind of their perfect spot as far as that the zoning is concerned. A few varieties can get colder than that. Like I know Chicago Hardy is, I believe, down to zone 7 if I'm not mistaken. But generally speaking, for us here, nothing for us here. So don't need to be covered. They need that chill.
Would you ever add some type of rock gravel pathway alongside the orchards and vineyard garden beds?
No. So the main reason that we won't is because of how, if you guys have seen some of the videos in the spring, as long as we get some rain in the wintertime, we get a lot of heavy weed growth that happens. And it all is in between the orchard rows. And that's because we have irrigation that's going on and the water pools there. And then it actually gets pulled into the wood chips. So all of those edges get a lot of weeds. And so we mow those and we do a weed trimmer on those. So I wouldn't want to do the rocks just because it makes that a little bit more difficult. Also, our irrigation runs down that. So we want to make sure that we can get to our irrigation easily. If for some reason when. It's just a matter of time. Yeah. So when we have repairs. So that's really the main reasons. And then we would just need an awful lot of it. And then lastly, we are constantly having to replenish the wood chips in there. So we're driving through that. So with the tractor, and it would tear up the rocks pretty bad. So not something we'll do there. Now, we will eventually do some rocks at the front of the property for parking and on the other side of the outbuilding because it gets a little too much traffic and the mud gets torn up when it rains. Mm-hmm. So we do need to add some rocks there.
Yeah.
So we will add some
more
there.
at the front of.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good question.
When will the chickens be ready?
So when is that? Do you remember?
So we are doing our chicken processing workshop on Saturday, November 9th, and we will be processing the remaining chickens on that Sunday and Monday. So they will be ready right after that.
Yep.
So I'll email you. I know, Pam, I have you on my list for chickens. So as soon as I have all those ready, I will email everybody on my list and let you know when they are available.
Yep, and we have, so we had mentioned it, but we can talk about it here briefly. So we have our chicken processing workshop is back. So we didn't do it last year because we had a couple of weddings, including our sons, that we were a part of. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have the ability to do it last year, but we get a pretty good turnout for that from the homesteading crowd that wants to learn how to process their own chicken. So that's RSVP only. You guys can see that on the website if you want to be here for that. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, we separate that out between, we start processing Friday and we finish on Sunday. And so we'll have those available that Monday. right? So, and that's appointment only for pickup on those.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you cover your fig trees with burlap for winter? Do you do the same for persimmons? What about Asian pears?
No, so none of those trees need that. So the only trees that we cover here on the farm, especially now that the guavas are gone, thank goodness, because those were a pain, is the banana, right? So we covered the banana and the moringa. Nothing else. So everything else that you guys see us working with here, all of those are, most of them are deciduous trees. They need the cold. You wouldn't want to cover them because they actually need our cold weather, and we barely get enough. So you wouldn't want to cover them because that actually reduces some of that potentially. So no, we don't cover any of our trees, with the exception of moringa and banana.
Okay.
So, yep. What else?
Royal Crimson Cherry.
That might be it.
That's Nate. I looked up on my phone, and that is the cherry that we
Royal Crimson
had gotten that we tried here a couple of years ago.
Yep. And so that is a Zager patented variety. So that's not something that Reed would do for us. So because he can't legally do that. So are we caught up?
Well, Zone 7B, North Texas, and we don't cover ours unless we know a crazy long freeze is coming. So I'm just not sure
Figs.
if we're the figs. Okay.
Yep, that's got to be figs because I know that there's some down to 7. So
Okay.
That's good confirmation. I thought I remembered that correctly. So if you're an 8, 9, 10 or above, you won't have to cover those at all.
Got
So,
it.
all right.
Tips on dealing with rats crawling on our citrus. Also, do you have a recommendation on a trap to get them?
Yes. So yes and yes. So the first one, if they're actually getting up into the canopy, you'll need to make sure that you have a long enough trunk to get all of your branching up off the ground, and then you can use a combination of different things on that trunk. Tree tanglefoot will work. If you're going to use tanglefoot, it's like a gooey kind of substance that you put around the trunk. Wrap that with flagging tape first, so that way you don't damage the trunk by putting it directly on the trunk. Don't do that. But you can use flagging tape around it, and then put the tree tanglefoot on there. That'll stop them from climbing up the trunk. They'll hit that, turn right back around, just like squirrels do. So that's a good option. Just make sure you get it wide enough, and a wide enough stretch of the tree tanglefoot. So that'd be a good option.
Can they do like a cone inverted?
We haven't tried that yet, but yes, we're going to attempt that. I just don't know about that from experience. So,
Yeah.
But I do know they use that for squirrels on larger trees. We're going to attempt that on the almond trees next year. So we'll see how that does. But I know tree tanglefoot will stop them. And then what was the second half of that? It was, how to get rid of them.
A trap. Do you have recommendations on a trap?
Right. So the only thing that I have is a deadly one, and it is with bait. So, and it has worked with mice and rats for us here.
Yeah, the little bait stations that they go into and get it, so it's not open.
Right.
To
That
the
way it's
other
not
animals.
out. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's not out, for cats and other birds and things like that. So, and that has worked. So that'll work too if you want to poison them. We haven't used a live trap to try to stop rats. So
Well, I
don't have
got the
experience with
one where they go up the bucket and fall in the bucket, but that didn't work at all. So I did get that one and
I think
try
that was
it.
for ground squirrels, wasn't it?
Either one doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But
I don't know.
yeah, our problem this year with citrus is birds. We
Yeah.
literally are getting a little hole in every single one of our citrus, and they're falling on the ground. So we've lost dozens and dozens of citrus.
Yep,
to
a
that
lot.
so
And really
far.
off of 2 trees. It's really
Yeah.
odd because they're
Yeah.
going after the, which one? They're going after the daisy mandarin, which is kind of a bummer. That's a fantastic, that's our earliest ripening mandarin. And then what's the other one?
The Tangelo.
Tangelo, that's right. And I don't remember the type of Tangelo. Was that? Can't remember the type. Either way, so just those 2. It's
Yeah.
weird because they're not going after anything else, and there's
Yeah.
fruit on every other tree. I don't know.
It's weird.
It is weird.
Do you guys vermiculture?
No, so we don't. Not specifically, but I mean, I know a lot of folks do. I think Pam does, but we don't here well, as far as actually trying to put material into a bin and to make sure that they have a nice, comfy, cozy place to stay. It happens around all of our trees and all of our other plants. So we encourage that in our garden beds. We encourage it around all of our fruit trees with the types of fertilizers that we use. Also, when we first brought the trees onto the property, we had worms from the old farm that were in those pots. And so we kept those we staged them around areas that we knew we were going to be utilizing either compost or wood chips or whatever. So we've got them throughout the farm, but we don't specifically, put together a bin and everything else for it. So a little too much work for us. We don't have the bandwidth in order to add projects like that. So we're real sparing. We add projects very, very sparingly because the bandwidth just isn't there. I'm not here full time. Only Lori is. So, and she's swamped with tasks to do in any given day. So adding an additional thing, it doesn't matter how little time it takes. We're very, very cautious with adding those kind of things. So,
Chandler finally allows 5 hens for residential. However, where should I get them? Don't want chicks in case of roosters.
So you have to go on to Facebook and see if you can find somebody local. I don't know of anybody that has grown out pullets. I don't.
Yeah, if you go on Facebook, any of like the homestead type pages, you can actually do like an ISO. So in search of laying hens, you can put 5 months or, that would probably be the best. Because I know the stock, what is the stock shop? Is that what it's called?
Stock shop? Mm-hmm.
I know they sell chickens sometimes. I just don't know how old they are. So I wouldn't want to get a chicken that's already a couple years old.
Right, because then you're past their prime as far as laying. Mm-hmm. So they only really lay consistently for the first 3 years.
Yeah.
And then it really tails off a lot.
Yeah.
So kind of like that, the chicken that keeps coming back here from Jake and Shay. It's what, 3 years old now or 4?
Yeah.
3 or 4 years old. She was laid 1 egg, 2 eggs.
She's laid 3 since she's been here.
Yeah, peak season. She's laid 3 eggs in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
So, and she's 4 years old. So that'll give you an idea of kind of how that works. So keep that in mind if you haven't had laying hens before. They only lay consistently for a few years and then they stop. And then you got to figure out what you're going to do with that bird.
Slow down. Yeah.
So, all right.
So Pam has tried the bait stations. The only thing that's worked for her.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they do well.
Yep. My chickens love mice, so get chickens.
There you go.
I've seen our chickens. Our ducks
Ooh.
eat mice.
Yes, they do.
So that's kind of funny.
Yes.
Of your Jujube varieties, which one has the best flavor? Do you have the honey jar variety?
We don't, but we have talked about replacing a certain other tree near our Jujubes, which will remain nameless for now. That has been a bit of a struggle. So we may add another one, and the honey jar might be on there. So there's a few different ones out there that I want to try. I believe the best tasting one we have right now, I want to say was the Empress G, the larger one. So, and I don't know if that was just because it's larger, so there's more fruit. But the Aunt Admire is really good. The Lang's really good, and the Chantilly was really good too. So, I mean, they're all pretty similar. Yeah. There's not a big difference from one to the next. So it's not like biting in, eating a Gala and a Honeycrisp. You can tell the difference between those two. Or that's not even a good example. It's not like having a Granny Smith and a Honeycrisp. It's nothing. It's not that drastic of a difference. No. They all taste pretty darn close.
Yeah.
There's not a big difference. They taste like a dry apple.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but there is a little bit of difference of sweetness and stuff like that.
Okay. So. On your chicken processing workshop RSVP page, can you explain the with chicken versus without chicken?
Yes. So either you're going to leave with the chicken or you're not. So either you're going to actually do hands-on training and leave with the chicken, or you are not. So. Yeah,
it was kind of hard because you only want to put so much information on there. Right. So basically, if you want to come to the workshop and attend and actually get on the table, get your you have a chicken in the plucker, scolding it, digging the guts out, all that stuff. If you want to do that and leave with that chicken so you can cook it at home, that is with a chicken. If you just want to come, soak up all the information, kind of watch the whole process.
Have some coffee, snack,
coffee, whatever, but not actually get on the table with your hand inside of a chicken. That is without a chicken.
Right, exactly.
Hope that explains it.
And the attachment, if you click on the link that shows all the details kind of specify that too. So,
what are good trees to plant on north-facing wall? The north-facing wall would get beamed with sun all summer, and now I noticed it only gets little sun. Coachella Valley resident, by the way.
Yeah, so basically almost the same as us. So there's really nothing that you'll want to put up against the wall because you're not going to get enough good sunshine against the wall. So we did a consultation. This one was for Robin and Chris. So they have a north-facing wall as well. And what we did along that wall is we actually did grapevines along the wall, but they didn't put them against the wall. So they're about, what are they, about 10 feet? I want to say about 10 feet away from the wall. So a little further out. That way they get sunshine. And these are grapevines that are going to always be growing basically from spring to fall. So by the time those are breaking dormancy, those vines are in the sun all day long and they can handle that sunshine. Really, any of your fruit trees can. The problem would be right up against the wall itself. You're only going to get the baking sun in the middle of summer. You're not going to get enough sunlight in the wintertime, and pretty much all plants need sun all the time. So that would be the only caveat to that. But if you're going to try to get something a little bit closer, grapevines would be a good option, and it's why we wound up going with grapevines there on their consultation. And they're out here in Whitman, so same exact temperatures you guys see for us. Now, you can also do fruit trees, again, a little further away from the wall because you don't want them against it. So, you go a good 10 feet away from the wall, you can still put your fruit trees there. That would be okay. You're far enough away from the wall that they're going to get some sunlight throughout the wintertime. So keep an eye on your yard and the sun exposure as we head into December and January. So that is when the sun's the furthest down in the south, and you'll get the least amount of sun exposure up basically against that wall. It'll give you an idea of how far back you need to plant. And then keep in mind, if you're growing a fruit tree, or with this, in the case of grapevines, if you're using a 3-foot trellis, it's 3 foot up off the ground, you're looking for sunlight at that level and above. So, your fruit trees are, they're 5, 6, 8, 10 feet tall. And so they're still going to be up above that sunlight exposure. So they're still going to get plenty of sunlight. The trunk doesn't need it. In fact, it's better that it doesn't have it. It's actually the rest of the canopy that needs it. So you should still be just fine, just a little further away from the wall. Mm-hmm. Good question.
Okay, so sorry for maybe stupid question, but theoretically, I think possible to visit you and graft on your trees new varieties. For example, other summer pears, summer apples, etc. And this is Michael, and I know he's not here.
Yeah.
I can't remember where.
I don't know that I can answer that question, honestly. I don't know. I don't know whether or not I would want to. I suppose if there was a pear that we wanted to try, maybe graft it onto the pears we already have. Maybe, but I don't know that I want to take that on as far as having to remember or mark that off as far as pruning, because I know that can be a little bit of a challenge. But I'm not sure. I don't know whether I would want to do that or not. That's a good question. So email us.
Yeah, I was going to say, just email. That's funny.
Yep.
Okay, my Florida King peach tree had fall flush, but all new growth is very light in color. Mm-hmm. Any concern or just normal?
Nope, absolutely normal. So you have, it's only going to have this for the next few weeks, and then all that's going to go dormant. Nope, you're fine. So, and that's all this year's growth, which means that next year that could actually fruit for you. So yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. So it's all of that's going to be light because it is brand new growth, and then it's a really short season, but it should darken up a little bit here over the next few weeks. But it may not. If we get cold enough, it may not, and that's because if we get cold enough, the tree is going to start pulling the sap back down, and so they may actually start to brown up a little bit because you're going to actually lose them. So the leaves, not the branches. If the branches are grown in there and they're thick enough, don't even need to be the size of a pencil, and they'll be just fine because they'll survive dormancy.
Yeah. Does animal manure have enough iron for trees?
Enough iron for trees? I don't know. I mean, that's not really what it's there for. So it's not really there for iron. What the content would be in there, I'm not sure. That's a good question. I really don't know. But that's not. It's not. Iron is not what we're shooting for with compost, because that's your fertilizer. We don't add iron to that. So that's really the main reason why we use compost, is because it's got NPK and it's got a lot of things in there. But more importantly, that is helping with soil biology. So we have the aspects you would typically find in a traditional fertilizer, but because of the manure, the worms that are down there, that's really creating a lot of what we're looking for as far as the trees are concerned. If iron is an issue, you'll need to add iron as well. But we don't see that as a need for our fruit trees, at least. So, but it does have a fair amount of sulfur, which is obviously always an issue for us here. So you do have some of that, not a tremendous amount again. So if you needed more than that, you'd have to supplement that. So.
All right, so we have one more question on here, and then we are at 3:00.
Hey, look at that. We're doing good.
So my Satsuma plum has decided to put flowers on. Is that normal?
Yeah. So Satsuma, yes and no. So we don't typically see that because you must be in the city. We're a little too cold this time of year for us to see that second set of flowering. We've gotten it occasionally on apples. I haven't seen it on any of our stone fruit before.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. So it's a little confused.
Yeah, and we just got really warm.
Yep, we got really well. We had that little bit of a cold snap, and then right back into really hot, and then
so it's that dormant. Oh, I'm awake.
And now I'm back. So yeah, so I'm not surprised it's a little confused. We all kind of are, We want it to be cool. This is great. So we're done.
Yeah,
and it's an hour. Great.
Yep,
Thanks, guys.
all of them.
So fantastic questions today.
Yeah.
So hopefully this was you felt this was a beneficial episode for you guys. Really wanted to make sure we got that information out for you as far as all of those nurseries are concerned. You guys can rewind a bit if you're not sure which one. So obviously the beautiful part about this is you can go back once we're done here today and take a peek at that. One last time, you can give us a thumbs up. That would definitely help us here and on into the future. So just want to thank you guys again for being here. Today was episode 37 of the Desert Farmer Podcast. One last time, thank you so much for joining us today. The most valuable thing we have here on the planet is time. It's not gold, silver, money, none of that. It is time. And you guys choose to spend that with us, not only here, but throughout the week. Commenting on YouTube, messaging us on Facebook, texting Lori, all those great ways of getting a hold of us.
I'm texting people all day
all
long.
the time. So, but just want to thank you guys for the time you spent with us. Really do enjoy this time. So just want to remind you, first of all, thank you again for being here today, and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere,
so can you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.